Hello, and welcome back to Ranger in Time: Disaster on the Titanic, a book by Kate Mesner. In this video, we're going to cover comprehension questions for chapters 7 through 9. Chapter 7, Rising Waters. Chapter 7 comprehension questions. Number 1. Why was Patrick not worried even if the Titanic had struck an iceberg? Sample answer. Patrick was not worried even if the Titanic had struck an iceberg because he knew the lower levels of the ship were divided up into watertight compartments that would keep the ship afloat even if some of these compartments were flooded. Number 2. What orders did an officer give Patrick? Sample answer. An officer ordered Patrick to wake first-class passengers, help them get their life jackets on, and ask them to head to the boat deck. Question 3. How would you have felt if you had been Patrick when he first saw that the baggage area, mailroom, and boiler rooms were all flooded with seawater? Sample answer. I would have felt surprised and then scared if I had been Patrick when he first saw that the baggage area, mailroom, and boiler rooms were all flooded with cold seawater. I would have felt surprised because accidents like this one often leave people feeling surprised. I would also have felt scared because if the ship sinks, I know I could drown or die from hypothermia while floating in the freezing water. Chapter 8, Ready the Lifeboats. Chapter 8, Comprehension Questions. How does Patrick learn that Titanic might have only 2 hours left before it sinks? Sample answer. Patrick is helping a steward to safety from the mailroom to E-deck when he hears Mr. Andrews talking with Titanic's captain. Andrews tells the captain 3 of the ship's watertight compartments are already flooded. Andrew goes on to say that if 6 of Titanic's watertight compartments flood, the ship will sink within a couple of hours. Question 2. Why do you think the lifeboats are being lowered without being filled with passengers? Sample answer. I believe Titanic's lifeboats are being lowered without being filled because the passengers have not been told that the Titanic will sink in around 2 hours. The passengers are reluctant to leave a ship that has been labeled unsinkable. Chapter 9, Not Without My Brother. Chapter 9, Comprehension Questions. Number 1. What word would you use to describe the situation aboard the Titanic during the first hour after the ship struck the iceberg? Sample answer. The word I would use to describe the situation aboard Titanic during the first hour after the ship struck an iceberg is confusion. I believe there was a lot of confusion early on because the passengers were not told the ship was going to sink in about 2 hours. Had they been told this, the passengers would have likely gotten into the lifeboats much more quickly. There was also confusion among the crew members because they didn't seem to know that they should fill the lifeboats to capacity. Also, they didn't seem to know how to lower the loaded lifeboats safely. Finally, the crew didn't seem to be trained to control crowds of panicked people. Question 2. What do you think will happen with Miriam and her brother Hamad? Sample answer. I think the steward will help Hamad be allowed into a lifeboat with his sister Miriam once he learns that these siblings are traveling without adult guardians. Besides, Hamad is a child, and the orders of the day were women and children into the lifeboats first. And this wraps up comprehension questions for chapters 7 through 9.